Hey guys, and welcome back to another flashlight review. Today, I'm going to be going through a new flashlight from Wuben. This is the E7. It's just been launched and it's a multi-purpose flashlight that has a bunch of modular features. Also have a bunch of accessories I'm going to show you. I've never seen some of these features before on other flashlights, so make sure you stick around if you want to find out more. Now, this is a really interesting light because you can use it also as a headlamp with the included headband. Okay, this is the one that's included. You can also get a whole bunch of different accessories, which I'll show you in a moment. I'll show you how everything works. But also you can use this as a normal flashlight because you see on the back here you have this nice clip. It's a deep carry clip there as well. But like I said, that's only the start. So let's have a look at what is actually included. So in the main box, okay, you get the light itself, the E7. Now, the light comes with an 18350 battery, and you might think this looks very similar to the X0, and I think it does anyway. And I'll show you both of them compared in a moment, but you know, that is the battery that's included, 18350. Very easy to get into the bottom of that light, okay, and basically just screw it back on with your hand. Now, you also get this charging cable here, a little bit different from some of the other charging cables I've seen. It's got this sort of twirly bit in the center that stretches out. You've also got a basic lanyard. I don't really use these all too much. And a bunch of spare O-rings here. Something I really appreciated is that Wuben also included this P1 head strap here. And I'm going to show you how it basically works. It's quite simple. You just drop this in, you just drop the light in facing forward like that. Just press it and it clips in. So there's like a little locking mechanism that locks onto the clip. Okay, very, very sturdy. Okay, and the cool thing is that this also allows you to rotate. Can you see that? You can rotate the head of the light. So kind of, I wouldn't say 180 degrees, but you know, definitely can shift the light up and down. And I don't often see this on other head straps. They often just have these two rubber bits that you have to force the light into. It's very annoying to take it in and out, let alone sort of move the flashlight around up or down inside. Now, if you want to take it out, very simple. All you do is just see here on the side, there's a tiny little clip there. So you pull that clip, okay, and that's it. The light comes out very, very easily. All adjustable straps and what have you here as well. Now you might be wondering what this little thing is here attached to the head strap. Now this is something I've never seen on a flashlight before, an accessory I've never seen on a flashlight. So this is basically Wuben's AP40 module, the inductor module, and it basically is a gesture sensor, a motion sensor. So as you connect it onto the light, it allows you to access the UI for basically hands-free operation of the light. You can access all the modes. Really quite amazing. You have to attach it via this USB-C cord here. Okay, and I just clip it onto the headband itself. Makes it easier that way. And also have this extension tube as well, the E7 extension tube, and this basically allows me to get add an 18650 cell in there, extend that battery life by over 3 times. And I think having that option is just so useful. You know, as nice and you know compact as these little lights can be, at times you might need to use it for a long period of time and you don't want to keep swapping out batteries. You just want to have the option for longer run times. I think that's really good that you have this option available. So here's a little comparison between the Wuben E7 and the Wuben XO. And the moment I saw the E7, I thought they've definitely taken a leaf out of the XO's book. You know, it's quite striking similarities. Okay. And the cool thing is that the XO also works with that P one head strap as well. Okay, there are some differences though. You can see the clip. Okay, clip is really rigid on the X0, and I don't mind that if I'm putting onto a bag strap or something like that, but putting it, clipping it to the side of your pocket or your belt, I found that pretty tricky. But this one here with the E7, just got a standard steel clip attached by a couple of screws there. Much easier to maneuver. And it's also a deep carry clip, goes all the way up to the top, unlike the XO clip. Got a couple of LEDs in here, P7s, whereas you've just got one large LED on the XO. And on the XO, you do have some other features like this little flip up top that allows you to access the USB port, but on the E7, it's basically a rubber port you pull out to access it like that. Sort of swings open. The button is just here on top like that as well. It's very difficult to get access to that 18350 in the Wuben XO. So see, I've got a few little marks here on the bottom of the light because I've had to get some pliers and just basically open it that way. Whereas this one with the E7, you can open it directly, easily by hand, so you can swap these batteries on the go if you need to, and also attach that extension tube as well if you need. Alrighty, here's a little close up of the E7. I just love the design of it and how it reminds me of the X0. So that cyberpunk look, like something from a sci-fi movie. Angular. Lots of interesting little cutouts all over, but thankfully there are no sharp edges. Anodizing is really smooth. It's slightly glossy as well. Okay. I would say it's still grippy, but it is more, it is more on the glossy side, as you can tell. Steel clip, like I mentioned. Okay, I like that you can deep carry it. I'll just give you a little close-up of that charging port. I like how the E7 has a pretty large power button, okay, and is also made of aluminium for extra durability. Looking down the bezel of the E7, you'll be surprised to see that Wuben have actually included two P9, Osram P9 LEDs, and a lot of manufacturers tend to go for the SST40, and I actually prefer the P9 LEDs that just don't produce that green tint. They're less greenish anyway than the SST40, and they're just such energy efficient LEDs as well, managing to achieve close to 2000 lumens in the E7. Really impressive. Got a couple of TIR lenses as well. I like smaller versions of the one on the XO. They're slightly recessed in there as well, the lens, with this rectangular bezel or retainer, whatever you want to call it. And like I mentioned, the E7 does come with that 18350 cell. You can easily remove it just by unscrewing the tail cap. The thing I found though is that these threads are not anodized. Okay, you can see here in the camera, so you won't be able to mechanically lock that light out. And also make sure you don't screw the cap on too tightly as well, because I did find that I was spending about 10 minutes trying to get the thing open, as I really screw that on quite hard. This is what the E7 looks like with the optional extension tube attached. And I'll pop in 18650 cell. That's just a normal flat top, like that. So it does extend out the length of the light. Okay, if you compare it to the X0, which was roughly the same size, it's roughly the same length, you can see it adds another, it almost adds another 40 or so % onto the length of the body, but you do get three times the battery capacity. This is the AP40 inductor. Allows you to operate the light without pressing any buttons, and essentially all you do is just attach it to the top of the light like that. You can see a little blue LED turn on. Okay, if you pass your finger over it, you can activate a bunch of different settings in the UI, which I'll go through later. Never seen something like this before. I think it's really cool. Has some practical benefits as well. With that hands-free usage, struggling to find that button in the night and fiddle around with things is very, very tricky. So I think this is a good idea, and it feels like I'm using some kind of high-tech military gear as well. All right, so we're going to go through a quick UI demonstration just to show you how it works. So press once to switch the light on, okay, and it just goes into the last mode that you had it on, but you press and hold to switch between the modes. You basically just have low, medium, high. You can leave it in high, switch it off, switch it back on, and it remembers high. Okay. Unfortunately, there is no click and hold to access the lowest mode. You can double press though in any mode, whether it's on or off, to go straight to turbo. Okay. Triple press for strobe. Okay. In any mode, whether it's on or off, and quad press in order to lock, okay, or unlock. So now that's locked. 4 presses, it flashes twice. And if you try to switch it on, you can see that little light on the top flashing. Okay, press 4 times and easily unlocked. So just a quick little demo of the sensor. Now the light's off at the moment. I've got it plugged in straight to the USB-C port, and it looks like that USB-C port just supplies power and communicates to the flashlight. And what you can do is just basically, drag your finger across or nearby about a few centimeters away to turn on. So that's just equal to a click. Okay, you can turn on, turn off. You can go also straight to turbo by 2 quick swipes. Okay, click, swipe again to turn off. Okay, now say you want to turn the light on like that, just 1 swipe. And then what you can do, you can hold your finger over the front and it will cycle. Okay, so if you're medium, happy with medium, just leave it like that. Okay, keep going. And you can keep doing the same thing. You don't actually have to touch it. I just sort of keep it around here. 2, 3. So pretty cool. I'm just using a finger because it's easier. 3 little swipes to access the strobe. 1, 2, 3. It does take a little bit of time to get used to the sort of double gesture parts when you're accessing turbo and the strobe, but pretty much everything else is quite easy to use. Okay, basically just changing modes like that. So I ran a couple of ceiling bounce tests with my Wuben E7, and as you can see, the light starts out at 100% and pretty much starts stepping down at around 25 seconds and steps down all the way to just under 25% of its output. So that's just at the 2-minute mode. I also tried to activate the turbo mode again just after 2 minutes. Goes up, spikes again to 100, then goes straight back down to roughly 20% output. I'm glad that the light does step down quickly, considering that there's a couple of P9s in there that's going to, even though they're very efficient, they're going to generate a lot of heat in this little host like that. So it's not going to cause any damage to the light. Still, about half a minute of turbo runtime is very impressive. So here's another ceiling bounce test that I ran just on high with the E7. And as you can see, lasts all the way through the test without stepping down. End of the test at around 25 minutes, and when I picked up the light, it didn't even feel hot at all. It was just kind of warm to the touch, and that just goes to show how efficient these P9 LEDs are in there, especially when you run less current through both of them to produce more output. Also ran some tests with my Opal Light Master Pro, and you can see here on turbo I got 137 meters of throw. Really impressive, again, considering how small this light is. And you can see the CRI ranged from 74 to 83. And 83 was interesting. That was on the low mode, but pretty much anything above low, got about 74, 75 CRI. In terms of the CCT, you can see it increasing from 5,541 all the way to 6,663 on turbo. So it does get cooler as you go into those higher modes. the E7 produces a mostly floody beam, but it still has a nice diffused hotspot. And I was expecting maybe the beam would be a bit odd with these two TI lenses in this kind of configuration, but it was actually quite a nice beam, very smooth. Wasn't any artifacts as well, and I also like that you get visibility well into your peripherals. This TIR lens just produces kind of like the best of both worlds. Focused beam in the center, but really about 160 degrees visibility. So some considerations you might want to be aware of. At the time of making this video, Wuben includes the headband, but if you want the other functions like that gesture sensor I was showing you before, the extension tube, you'll need to purchase those other accessories separately. Another consideration is that these rubber gaskets here, like you see just on the top of the light and even on the AP40 sensor, I'm not the biggest fan of these things. They just kind of just get in the way, in my opinion. I would have liked for there to be some sort of maybe like something to clip it onto, or even just using a metal lid or something like that would have been nice, like they did use on the XO. Another thing I noticed is while the anodizing is decent, there are some little marks, if you can see just around here, really being kind of nitpicky like that. But I've seen better anodizing out there. It's going to get the job done. Still think it's acceptable at this price point, but you know, I have seen better anodizing out there. Thankfully though, that doesn't affect the performance of the light. Another thing I would have liked to see as well is some additional configurations, additional LED configurations, you know, maybe having some high CRI LEDs in there. For some of you that's important. For me, I actually prefer the P9. It produces more light. Would be good to see maybe a configuration where you've got a red and a white LED as well, but I don't know how that would work out with this UI, given that you can't swap in between the LEDs. Overall, I think the Wuben E7 is one of the most versatile headlamp / flashlight combos that you can get out there. Wuben are just time and time again pushing the boundaries of the traditional flashlight. The E7 is quite unique because it really does it all at a price point that almost anyone can afford. And I do recommend getting those accessories as well, as it expands the different scenarios, functionality, just different ways that you can use this light. Really like those dual LEDs in there. With the X0, I was craving some extra lumens a lot of the time. And the fact that you can hot swap the batteries as well, get an 18650 in there, reduces that battery anxiety. Sustained output and high is something I really liked with the light as well. We've got a proper high. And the fact that you can just use it for so many different purposes, like I said, EDC, around the house, bike light, headlamp. It has pretty much everything you could want in a flashlight. So if you're interested, make sure you check out the video description. I'll have a link to the E7 and you can get it at a special discounted price through my link. If you have any questions as well, just let me know down below and I'll get back to you. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and click the like button because it helps to get my videos out to more people. It doesn't cost you a cent. And if you want to see more flashlight reviews and keep updated with the latest lights, make sure you subscribe. Wuben E7 on low. Can't really see much. Okay, low, medium, high. And the high mode is really impressive. Sustainable output as well. On high there, it's casting a beam that's about 160 degrees. You can see well into my peripherals up ahead. Okay, turbo. Whoa! Holy cow. That's impressive. I mean, it's just so floody. So much light coming from this little, tiny little flashlight here. And there's a hot spot in the center of the beam, as you can see. Manages to tint those trees right at the back. Okay, I wouldn't say it illuminates them, just sort of tints the trunks. Okay, it does step down a little. Give it a bit of time to step down and see what happens. But even now, it's still pretty bright. Turbo again. Jeez. It's really bright compared to the X0. Impressive. Go for a little walk. The Wuben E7. Got it attached to my helmet and with the proximity sensor as well, activating. Looks like it's on the high mode. I can just sort of go low, medium, high. I'll go for a walk. Medium, high. Turbo.